Okay, so good evening, everyone. Thank you for being with us on this very pleasant and interesting evening. I will make very short introduction, approximately 5 minutes, and after that we can start. And also Sergo will join me, but I mean, in general, introduction will be maximum 5 minutes. So I will make sure about the technical details. At first, as you know, we are recording this webinar because we are uploading it and we are spreading it with our social media channels to reach more and more people. And also we are on Facebook Live. So in case you have anything against it, please let us know. What about today's evening? I will remind you very briefly why are we here today. As you know, this webinar is also organized by HR Professionals Association. HR Professionals Association made and created very interesting campaign, H for H, Humans for Humans. We started this campaign in March, and it's already 2 months that we are supporting HR and OD professionals. As you know, two main reasons motivated this campaign to go through. The first one was supporting employability, and the second one was to share experiences. And we shared very interesting experiences through consultations, webinars, and trainings. So every week we were with you, and now it's our 10th meeting, 10th week of experience sharing. And it's very interesting. And another very interesting and important result this campaign has is that we already have very important employability platform, online software, which was created with the collaboration of ASECO Georgia. And this was made especially for this campaign in order to support those people, those humans who lost their income or their jobs during the pandemic. So we have those interesting results after 2 months. I will not take much of your time. You can see more information about us on our website, which was also especially and specifically made for our campaign. It is h4h.g, so you can see more info about our campaign there. And also you can go through our Facebook page, which is H4H Humans for Humans. You can chat with us, and our H4H bot will answer your questions about the campaign, and you can communicate with him, her, we don't know its gender actually, with our bot as well. So what about today? Today's webinar, we have another very interesting expert and very interesting topic. Our guest today is PhD professor and UNICEF representative in Georgia, Ghassan Khalil. He's with us already, and he will share his very interesting experience about upholding core values in emergency management. I will tell you briefly what he will cover during his speech. It is, first of all, how to maintain the same ethical standards in difficult times, such as emergencies, how to preserve a trustful and respectful environment under ambiguity and uncertainty. And the third part will be paybacks of upholding core values during emergency management. Those are the topics. And what about the agenda? I will briefly remind you about our agenda. As we have a 45-minute format. So the first 5 minutes is introduction made by us. Then we have 15 minutes for speaker to talk. And then for a question and answer session, we have approximately 20 minutes. And we can use the last 5 minutes to underline those highlighted ideas and the main things we want to outline once again. So I would like to, from my side, I would like to thank our speaker today to be with us, because it's a huge honor to host him today. And thank you once again, because he has very busy schedule, but beside this fact, he's with us to share his experience. And now we are sharing not only local, but global and international experiences, which is even more important for HR and OD professionals, and not only. Probably Sergo wants to add with few words. After this, we can start. And what about the questions? Just I will add, if you want to ask the questions, you can write them in our chat panel, or you can just write down that you want to ask something, and then you can turn on your microphone and ask it. Those are our technical details as well. So thank you once again for being with us. I will give floor to Sergo and then Ghassan. Thank you.
Salome, thank you so much for very detailed and as always, very interesting and precise introduction. Thank you, everyone, dear guests, dear Ghassan, to be with us today. I can imagine how busy you are with all these remote works and doing a great job on a daily basis, but still you managed somehow to honor us and to join us and to give this amazing presentation. I'm pretty sure that it will be super interesting. It already is shown in the agenda and in the topics which was mentioned by Salome. Just briefly, with few words, I would like to thank our honorable guest, Ghassan. He's, as you know, already representative of UNICEF, which is the United Nations Children's Fund, and which is United Nations agency responsible for providing humanitarian and developmental aid to children worldwide. And thank you all the work you do for the society, dear UNICEF representatives. And on behalf of UNICEF, I would use this opportunity. I would like to use this opportunity and thank dear Ghassan. Dr. Ghassan Khalil brings more than 25 years of significant professional experience in various capacities, which include senior positions with government, NGOs, United Nations, and as an independent senior consultant, and also university professor, researcher, and training expert. His experience focuses on value-based leadership and result-based management in managing international organizations. So waiting for your experience sharing and these amazing sessions provided by you, dear Ghassan. And thank you once again for being with us today. It's a really great honor for us, for HR, for HR Professions Association. And last but not least, I would like to use this opportunity and thank our dear colleague and the very active member of HRPA, the Miranda Gabunia. She was actually excellent and amazing ambassador for HRPA to connect us with UNICEF and these representatives in Georgia, and especially with dear Ghassan. So Miranda, thank you so much. That's managed to have and to be honored and to invite such a great guest. Thank you so much for your involvement during this campaign and for these amazing results. Again, thank you, dear guests, for being with us. And with great pleasure, I want to give the floor to Ghassan. Thank you, and all the best during this evening.
Thank you.
So thank you, Sergio, Miranda, once again, thank you. All the participants of this evening webinar. Ghassan, if you can hear us, if you're with us still technically, you can start. I think you are muted. Please unmute yourself.
Well, maybe I can.
Yes, now you can hear me, I guess.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. This is a great pleasure, honor as well. And I would like to thank very much the Human Resources Professionals Association of Georgia to think of us in UNICEF. And for all the kind words you said about what UNICEF is doing for children and young people in Georgia. Today, the topic that you have chosen is one of the most important and critical topics in emergency management. And for many reasons, the first thing I would say that emergency in itself is something very difficult to manage. But before talking about that, I would like to mention that and to stress the fact that the values we talk about today, they were not like this 50, 60 years ago. I mean, we should not forget that in 1926, 1930, we had a convention against slavery, a convention against forced labor, and those conventions were considered as the first international interference in internal affairs of the states, positively and constructively, to make sure that human rights of workers, of employees are respected. So just to mention at the beginning that it has taken a very strong human struggle, human rights struggle to reach what we have today in terms of standards. And these standards are applied by, should be applied by different organizations, different companies, whether private sector, international organizations, government institutions. And there are two dimensions. The first dimension is the moral responsibility, and the second dimension is a legal responsibility. And the moral responsibility in the private sector, for instance, is defined by the CSR, the corporate social responsibility. So nowadays we say that every company should have a corporate social responsibility towards the employees. At the same time, it's highly recommended to have a corporate social responsibility towards the society as well. International organizations, and especially human rights-based international organizations like UNICEF, they make sure every day to have the core values respected. And the core values of UNICEF are care, respect, integrity, trust, and accountability. And these core values are from the top management of the organization are promoted on a daily basis. Why do we stress today the issue of emergency management? Because in emergency, management becomes more difficult. And also with all the challenges that COVID-19 is creating now, it has become extremely critical to have very clear communication and setting very clear objectives and keeping the teams, in fact, within a common understanding. Because this is the way we can ensure the respect for the team, and we can ensure that the teams feel safe. And I will come back to feeling safe, to the importance of teams and every member of the team feeling safe. But in terms of emergency, why emergency is difficult? I mean, I'm sure you heard about the VUCA concept, which is the V, which stands for volatility, the U for uncertainty, the C for complexity, and the A for ambiguity. And these four characteristics make emergency difficult by definition and in its nature to manage. In addition to that, in emergencies, we have seen in all places, in organizations, in companies, etc., we see that, I mean, the bad sides or dimensions and the negative sides may be revealed more during emergencies. Sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally, but as we say, sometimes good intentions even, they can pave the way to hell. And that's why it's very important to keep promoting and keep highlighting the core values that every single member of the team should live and should apply. And mentioning living the value, I would like to mention from experience and from many cases, many emergencies, and during this COVID-19, while working in an excellent way with all of us in the team in UNICEF Georgia, I would like to say that the most important thing is to make sure that there are no different perceptions of the values. And this is what we can call bringing the whole team into a common understanding of the values. And the 5 core values of UNICEF, what we do, for instance, periodically we conduct a survey to see how every individual of the team is living and is applying, and how every member of the team is also seeing how others are applying the values. But what is extremely important, and I can mention it as a good practice, is how we started discussing in sessions, in morning reflection sessions within the team, each value, and how we reflected transparently and constructively and positively around each value and how we can apply it. It's from experience, global experience. If any person is not convinced in a certain value, the person cannot live it. And if we don't live the value and we try to apply it, people around us will discover immediately that we are not acting candidly. And this is one of the dangers also of during emergencies. Because once the trust it starts diminishing, this is where conflicts will increase. This is where the team will deliver less, and this is where also the morale of the team will start deteriorating. And here I go back to the concept of every member of the team feeling safe. And feeling safe is feeling safe physically and feeling safe also psychologically. And this requires as well the ability to reach out and to access at any time mainly the human resources colleagues. And we are talking today, and this event is organized by the Human Resources Professionals Association of Georgia. So I would like to highlight the importance of human resources professionals, of staff association, but of everyone, and also head of offices, CEOs, head of companies, whatever. And it's extremely important, especially in emergencies, all the time, but especially in emergencies, to highlight the participatory leadership and to apply an adaptive style of leadership. So every single member of the team is a leader. This is extremely important. And within, of course, the mandates, within the authorities, and this brings us also to accountability. I would like to mention that accountabilities is also, keeping accountabilities is extremely important, and also it increases the trust among the team in emergency management. We have to be kind all the time. We have to be kind all the time. We have to be compassionate. We have to support. But this does not mean that accountability should disappear, because at the end of the day, we are responsible to deliver. And the new concept is delivering to stakeholders, not to shareholders, which applies to private sector as well to organizations. Who are the shareholders, the stakeholders for UNICEF? Children, young people, community, families, and UNICEF management, headquarters, regional office, everyone. All the actors are stakeholders. So being accountable to all stakeholders is extremely important and keeps the accountability system alive. And the accountability system also should bring fairness. So in all emergencies, with all organizations, we see that some teams, some individuals may have to work more than others due to the nature of each emergency. And in this case, senior management, HR professionals, they should make sure to redistribute the tasks fairly and to be flexible and adaptive, so responsibilities are redistributed, so the feeling of fairness remains within the team, and this will bring more trust in the management and in the organization, and will lead to better deliverables, which means that community benefiting more from the organization and from the services which are being provided. Very important, and I will make sure to limit my intervention to the 15 minutes, because also I would like to learn a lot from the interventions that I'm looking forward to have. So it's very, very important as well to make sure that, especially in emergencies, to educate ourselves each day and to conduct daily evaluations of our performance. How did things go? How was my performance today? What are the good things I did? What are the things I could have done better? And needless to say that this should come with a lot of modesty, with a lot also of eagerness to learn, but also cannot be done without active listening and a very good, even excellent readiness to listen. And here I would say also, and especially in emergencies, again, because we don't have time to reflect, it's extremely important to have resort to senior colleagues who have experience, mentors, talk to them and make sure to validate what we have been doing in order to improve. So emergency in its nature, because of the VUCA nature of the emergency, will put us in a situation where ambiguity and also pressure, psychological pressure, sometimes physical constraints are there. And I would bring in here the COVID-19 pandemic, which has created an unprecedented circumstances to our lives. And in terms of COVID-19 also, I mean, all the time and all the emergencies, we used to say we should keep humanitarians safe so they can serve others well. But with the COVID-19, every one of us is almost at the same level of vulnerability. And this means that more compassion, more leading with passion, compassionate leading by love, leading by compassion, more of that is needed because every one of us is feeling threatened. Every one of us is at risk. Our families, our loved ones are at risk, so we are not safe under COVID-19. What is the solution to that? More compassion, more love, more support, more listening, active listening, and also more consideration to what we hear, what we listen, and acting on what we listen. Feedback is not important if we don't take action on the feedback we get. And our colleagues, our team will know whether the feedback has been valued or not. And only by valuing feedback, we increase the trust within the team. And this is the trust which can solve all the problems, if not all, most of the problems that we may encounter. We may not be able to resolve all the problems, but with trust, with clear communication, with common understanding of the values, definitely we can manage at least all the conflicts that may arise, and we can deliver better for the benefit of the community. So this is in a nutshell what emergency management requires, I believe. And let me say also that, I mean, what I'm saying is something that I also evaluate every day. How good, how well did I do every day? And it's very good that during this in this webinar I have colleagues as well attending, and there are also very senior colleagues to me as well attending, I can see. And there are human rights professionals that we have never met, we did not work together, but also who can assess what I'm saying. And what I want to say here is that any leader, especially under emergency, should make sure to live up to what the leader is saying. And every leader, especially in emergency, has to make sure that every single member of the team is a leader. This is the real concept of participatory leadership. This is how we become more considerate more supportive, and we create a transparent environment which will help us in overcoming the challenges created by the emergency. The paybacks, to end with the paybacks of having a transparent, empowering, interactive, and empowering leadership style, definitely adaptive as well, and flexible. The paybacks are huge. And the first one is people feeling safe. And as you know, as human rights professionals, all the surveys, all the studies state that people leave their jobs, not because of salary or because of other things. The number one reason for leaving jobs is not feeling safe or not feeling comfortable, being harassed, whether any kind of harassment, any kind of abuse, any kind of abuse of power. So people want to feel safe. And when they feel safe, they deliver as well. And during this emergency, a key point to manage this emergency properly is flexibility. And flexibility includes working at home or working at the office or working from the park. Wherever we work from, we have to deliver. And if we are delivering, this is the flexibility which is needed. And flexibility without trust will never work out. So we need to be flexible within the trust we enjoy in the team, and within a lot of compassion, support, and constructive approaches. So these are the points I wanted to highlight, and I would be looking forward to hearing from you as well, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Ghassan, for very interesting highlights and interesting ideas that you brought from your personal experience. Our colleagues, I will also remind them once again that they can ask questions through our chat, or they can turn on their microphone and ask questions, or maybe they have some comments or just something to add. This is also possible to make. Maybe you don't have a question, but you want something to add.
Maybe I can,
okay.
I can start. First of all, thank you to my brilliant colleagues from HRPA, and also thank you to UNICEF and Dr. Ghassan Khalil for this great opportunity to be with us today. Well, one of the very important value of UNICEF, as you mentioned, is care. Also for HRs, care is also a very important one, to tell to our coworkers that we care for them. They should feel this. Maybe you can share with us much concrete steps or mechanism or method. How can we communicate with the co-workers with whom we terminated contracts during this pandemic period? What can be more effective communication mechanisms or methods in this situation?
Yeah. So just to make sure I heard properly, so the best way of communicating to colleagues, co-workers whom contracts have to be terminated, right?
Yes.
Okay. So first, being transparent, being candid, transparent, and not hiding anything. This is rule number one. If really the organization, the company, needs to reduce the number of contracts, to reduce the number of staff, then this has to be communicated as early as possible. This is one. Second, there should be, I'm speaking in general, which is something that applies to management in general, there should not be any case of retaliation during emergencies, because unfortunately this is what our experience in management shows, that sometimes in emergencies, in some companies, in some organizations, some senior management may take advantage and terminate contracts based on certain history or the changes that they would like to make, which are not really in line with the strategic programming. So this is number two, and this is the role of orders, of staff associations, of whatever, to protect and to defend staff. The third thing, if really the organization cannot continue with that number of contracts and it has to be done, there should be a responsibility, moral responsibility, to make sure to keep the person as long as possible, according to the available resources as well, to the longest period, especially during emergencies, okay? And in that case, to support the co-worker, the staff, the employee, to support in helping her or him in getting another job. But here, there is an obligation of support, but there's not an obligation of result, which means that the organization is not obliged, does not have the obligation of ensuring another job, but support is needed there. And also, organizations, and this is what happens with UNICEF as well, provide sessions, psychosocial support. So the staff receives a lot of psychosocial support during this difficult period. Because imagine, with all the challenges and the hardship that an emergency brings, a person also knows that she or he is losing the job. So it's very difficult. So also it's an obligation to provide, to suggest at least this psychosocial support.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Miranda, for the question. Thank you, Ghassan, for the answer. I would like to add a little bit, and I would like to ask you, if I may, to bring your personal experience, maybe, or experience of other organizations or institutions who upholded those values during the emergencies. I would like to ask, what are the successful examples of an organization, of a person, of a leader who maintained all these core values despite the crisis, and in spite of the fact that it was very challenging situation, very tough time, they maintained those core values, and what was the result of doing this? Maybe this question is a combination of several questions. What was the main factor of their success, and how can we overcome the main challenge during the crisis, as we have a lot of things on our priority list and we have to decide a lot of things? How can we overcome the main challenge, and what was the result of those organizations who made it and somehow maintained their core values during the crisis as well?
I can give the example of UNICEF, UNICEF Georgia. We are delivering. Sorry? Yeah, we are applying all the things I have said. And as I said, also colleagues are listening to me, so I cannot say but the truth. and at the same time, I will not say that it's always easy. No, it is not easy. This emergency is bringing a lot of challenges. But for instance, I mentioned flexibility, okay? We are applying flexibility. We agreed more than 2 months ago, when the first case of COVID-19 was identified in Georgia. We had a meeting and we discussed the challenges. Then, before starting the teleworking from home, we discussed also how we will do the teleworking. We developed SOPs. This is the importance of clarity. People have the right to understand what are they heading to. This is extremely important. We discussed the challenges. We discussed the modalities. And just today, we had an all-staff meeting. And again, I said, colleagues, as we agreed before, we will continue applying flexibility within a lot of trust. Whether we work in this period from office or home or the park, this is exactly what I said. Okay, we have to deliver. As long as we are delivering for children, young people, and the community, this is the most. And everybody, all supervisors and supervisees, senior management, everybody should show this flexibility within trust. So I think creating clarity, clear communication is not only needed, is also it shows the respect to our colleagues. Every single head of section in UNICEF is sharing the plans, and then at the same time, I have meetings, regular meetings with the head of sections to discuss the distribution of workload, because this brings fairness, this brings justice, and in all organizations and companies, when people feel that there is fairness, people feel respected, and people feel safe. They feel that no retaliation will be taken against them, and an environment of transparency is there. Problems will always happen in all working environments, but it is how we deal with problems and whether we put everything all the time, everything on the table. Nothing should go under the table, including in emergencies. Because the experience shows globally that, I mean, in emergencies, I mean, under the pretext of like urgency, everything is urgent, we start diminishing or undermining transparency. This should not be the case. Everything should remain transparent, caring, trust, the same level of applying these values should continue being applied.
Thank you. So the two main factors while overcoming those. Yeah.
You know, maybe I can share also one point to be very realistic. I don't want to be seen also as theoretical. Also, there is a challenge, a huge challenge, risk to start dropping a certain level of the values. And I remember in 2014, I was in Libya and the war started. And on that day, in that period, I was acting designated official for the United Nations, the whole United Nations, which is responsible for the safety and security of every single staff. And I was the UNICEF special representative for Libya. And also I was the acting humanitarian coordinator and the acting United Nations resident coordinator. It happens like that. The war started in the capital, Tripoli, suddenly. And then I had to evacuate, to lead the evacuation of the whole UN, and the fight started in front of the UN building, UN compound, sorry. I mean, it took what it took, and then at some point I had to leave as the last UN official, to leave from Libya and to go to Tunisia. And I was under huge pressure. And when I reached Tunisia, I realized how much tired I was. Leading all this operation, feeling the responsibility of evacuations, safety. And that time, I mean, maybe because I was tired, I start maybe feeling that, I mean, should it continue? Should I continue giving all the time, the same time for listening, everything, or maybe some things can be compromised a little bit? And this is a very realistic, true story. And while going through over 2-3 days, you know, this is like reviewing your management style, your management, the values as well, I mean, reflected. And I went to UNICEF office in Tunisia, and the senior driver of UNICEF office in Tunisia, who retired now, I mean, was taking me for a meeting. And while talking on the way, I said, "Oh, so you're retiring soon, you are telling me?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Then you worked with my current supervisor, who was Ms. Maria Calives, who was the regional director for UNICEF in Middle East and North Africa." He said, "Yes, she came to Tunis, and it was not easy. And I worked with her 3 years, which passed by like 3 days." I said, what? Tell me again. He said, Maria Khalil spent 3 years as a representative. I was her driver for 3 years. And I felt the 3 years as 3 days because they were wonderful 3 years. Respect to all staff. And she was, he said, in French, he said, I'm translating. He said she was caring for each one of us as a human being before being a staff member. And that minute, I said to myself, I said, I take the challenge. I will remain exactly the same. Whatever it takes, I will continue upholding the same values.
Thank you. Especially the last example was very inspirational. Thank you for outlining and underlining very interesting and important factors during, for example, upholding core values in emergency management. And you mentioned that they are respect and clear communication. And I think we should consider this, especially during those times when we need them. If our colleagues don't have any more questions, I would like to ask you to conclude or very briefly sum up your today's speech, which was, as I said, quite inspirational and interesting. And we have approximately 5 minutes for that, or less, as you would like.
So you are asking me to make a summary?
Yeah, if you hear me.
May I ask for any of the participants to give us a summary from their own takeaways or on experience? Very brief, of course, but
great idea.
One or two participants maybe, they wish to come in.
Maybe our guests from the organization UNICEF wants to join us. Please.
Okay, maybe, okay, we will not make any pressure, but...
I can come in if you can hear me.
Okay, go ahead.
This is Inas, yeah. Thank you for this. I think I just would like to stress one point that you said, which is about the importance of members of the team. And this is especially in emergency. You know, in UNICEF, we have in the emergencies, you have classifications, right? You go into essential staff, non-essential staff, critical staff, non-critical staff, all of these we go into typology of staff when we're going into the different kind of emergencies. I think it's very important what you said, that all staff are important. There's no essential, non-essential, and critical and non-critical, and all staff are accountable. I think that is one takeaway that I will take from today's session. So thank you for highlighting that. That's very important. Over.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Inas.
Thank you.
Any other takeaway from anyone? Or something to share? Okay.
I will say a couple of words. So what you highlighted here, Ghassan, this is very theoretical, but in practical terms, it is really, really very difficult to implement, because this is the HR to manage staff, human being. This is really difficult, but in emergency situation, it is really very, even more difficult. But for us, for UNICEF staff, we're really lucky, because we see a practical example how staff can be managed in emergency situation like we have today. And especially I paid attention at transparency, and that we need to be clear in order to have relaxed and situation in the office when everybody is doing their job with high quality. So, and this in our office, this clarity, this is what makes our job very smooth, and we do not have any difficulty. This is what I wanted to highlight. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And let me put this in the context of responsibilities of HR professionals. So moving from the traditional HR to the strategic human resources management. a key part, a key element of strategic human resources management is keeping this clarity and encouraging to reprioritize, to reprogram, and to be adaptive. This is what human resources professionals can bring very, very well to the teams.
I just wanted to agree with you that participatory and supportive management is so important for nowadays during this pandemic period for in the business companies and other. And also, as you already mentioned, it's very important to help to our staff who lose their job, to help them to find another one. So there is the main value of our new company, H4H, and this is what this company lies on. So thank you for highlight this point, because it's also a very important one to management this crisis and hard period. So thank you so much again for this very inspirational meeting and sharing your life experiences also and theoretical ones. Thank you again.
May I add a word?
For sure, Nino, listening to you.
Thank you very much. We are the UN workers, and we are accustomed to talking with all these evidence-based and fancy phrases. However, in summary of Ghassan's beautiful presentation, I want to say I met a very wise woman just a few days ago, and she gave me an advice. Whatever you do, do from the bottom of your heart. If you do it from the bottom of your heart, you will be successful. So this is the core value of doing things, especially doing things for children. And it's a privilege to be the part of UNICEF.
Thank you, Nino.
Thank you.
Yes, I think Mrs. Ater wants to add something.
Yes, just very briefly to build on what has been said. So whatever Ghassan talked about in his presentation, we experience it on daily basis in UNICEF. And I won't start just giving the examples because there are lots of them. And but the main evidence of these core values upheld in UNICEF and being nurtured actually is that all of us enjoy working. All of us are happy to be at work, to do what we are doing, to deliver regardless how tired we may get, how much overloaded we may be. And just the words of the drive of Maria Calibes are very, very true, because time flies when you enjoy it. This is what all of us are experiencing in UNICEF, and we're just counting months with sadness because this very good period, well, I mean, there might be other good leaders as well, but it's better to have what we have now and what we're sure of, because really time flies, I mean, with such a speed, because we enjoy, we are happy, and we are feeling comfortable, respected, cared, and this really can be achieved in any organization if there is a will, and if this is not just a theoretical knowledge, but if it is applied in everyday practice. So we are really lucky. I think my colleagues will agree with me. And I mean, thanks Ghassan to this beautiful session today and for everything you do for Tbilisi, for UNICEF Georgia office every day. Thank you.
I should say, I should thank every single member of the team, because this is, I mean, if there's anything I would say at the end, I would say that this is a individual and collective effort, daily effort. I mean, also what I always say, I mean, it doesn't help to have like every 6 months 2-day retreat for staff well-being. It doesn't help. Staff well-being, caring, respect is not a daily exercise. It's an exercise by the minute. Every minute we have to show respect, caring, compassion, support. So the traditional approach of having like, every 6 months, 1 day for well-being, etc., has to change, and it has to become a daily function. And it cannot succeed if only one person or 5 or 10 exercise and apply these values. It has to be the whole team. And again, problems happen in families, in companies, in organizations, everywhere. It's how we deal with problems. And do we uphold the values when we try to solve the problems? This is the most important thing. And also another point I would like to mention, an emergency can happen anytime. It could be taking a family member to the hospital. I mean, someone falls down and then this is an emergency. It could be war starting in a country. It could be flooding. It could be earthquake. And we will never know how long the emergency will take. And this is from my modest experience in South Asia, in Africa, in Middle East, North Africa. We never know how long the emergency will take. But what we know, there will be one day the emergency will finish, will end up. And let's make sure in every emergency that once the emergency is over, when we look back, we feel proud of the human beings we were during that emergency. And colleagues, remember mostly how we treated them during difficult times, more than any other time.
Dear Ghassan, thank you so much. Thank you so much again and again, because it's so inspirational and motivational to hear. And also, we have some followers on our Facebook live stream, and I think that for them also it's too important to hear such a motivational and inspirational speech. So thank you. It was a very emotional one. Thank you again so much.
If not every week, Ghassan, you are invited even every month in our association. Your speeches are so amazing that I think you have to never stop providing such a great and inspirational speeches, and we need that because
thank you very much.
We have to believe, and on daily basis we have to have in mind each and every word provided by you. This is so human oriented and people oriented, and and really we need that, HR professionals, and not only, because at first we are people and then we are professionals of HR or another field. Thank you so much for this amazing
thank you very much
for this amazing topic, for this amazing speech, and again looking forward to meet you in live soon, and then looking forward to do amazing another evenings for HRs and not only. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for hosting us today. Thank you for thinking of UNICEF as well to discuss such an important topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you for fantastic examples and thoughts that you delivered today. And I think it was very exceptional conclusion, because our participants made it, not the expert, as it happens as always. So thank you, our participants, our dear guests that attended and engaged today. Thank you once again, dear Ghassan, because we are very inspired and motivated, as our participants said. So hopefully see you soon in person in our HR home, and not only in our different activities. Thank you once again, our dear participants, for being with us this evening. So have a great weekend, and wish you all the best. Goodbye.
Thank you, Ghassan. That was amazing. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.